Hello, everyone. Welcome to Unit 9 of Qualitative Research Methods. In this unit, we will discuss the qualitative data collection tools, focus group, participant observation, and archived documents. If we talk about data collection, so data collection comes under the methodology chapter of your dissertation or thesis. It is not the same as the method. Methodology is basically the philosophical underpinning that you have chose in your research method. I mean, the five approaches that you have used. The method is basically the tool that you have used to collect your data. So whenever you are opting for qualitative research or any research, you need to have a proper methodology and you need to have a proper data collection tool that you will use to collect your data. So as we have discussed, there are four main tools that you might use. You might use observations, interviews, or focus group discussions. Along with that, you may also use open-ended questionnaires. So in observation, you go and you observe your sample, you observe your participants, and you understand what they are saying and what they are doing. In interviews, you go and have a conversation with them. You take in-depth interviews and you record them. Interviews can be structured, semi-structured, or unstructured. You can also have focus group discussions in which you can have three or four people sit together and have a discussion, and then you record that discussion, and then you analyze it as well. There are other methods as well. For example, you can analyze the documents. You can take an open-ended questionnaire as well. So the first tool that we will be discussing today is a focus group. A focus group is a data collection tool in qualitative research in which you will take in a nutshell, you will take the interview of 4 or 5 people all together. So those 4 or 5 people will sit together, they will talk about their perceptions, their opinions, their beliefs, and you will give them prompts in between, and you will give them an opportunity to discuss and comment, and to share their personal experiences upon the topic that you are researching on. So you will listen to their discussions and you will note down whatever they are saying. There are different purposes of focus group. The first one is to explore the experiences, the behaviors, and beliefs of the people, to generate hypotheses, to find out the common things between them. It also reveals the group dynamics. If you if you are researching on a department, so you can make different people of the same department sit together and talk and discuss about a particular product, so you will understand what their group dynamics is, who is acting like a leader, who is like acting like a team manager, who is basically dealing with the conflicts, who are resolving the conflicts, who is negotiating. You can even brainstorm as well. You can brainstorm and develop a proper questionnaire or proper tool through the focus groups as well. There are different types of focus group. You can have a single focus group in which you are the moderator and you have 4 or 5 people and you are giving them prompts and you are letting them talk to each other. An example can be, the talk shows that happens on the on television, in which they have a host and he has 2 3 people talking to each other. So those are kind of a focus group, but that is the basic technique that you're going to use. You can have a two-way focus group in which you have two groups together, and they are watching each other and they are discussing their observations. You can have a dual moderator focus group in which you will have one moderator who will lead the session and the other ones who will ensure that everything is there and he analyzes, so that you'll have 2 people. Then you might have dwelling moderator focus group in which there are two moderators, they will take two sides and then they will debate on the particular topic. Then you might have a respondent moderator focus group as well, in which you can ask the participants to be one of the participant to be the moderator, and the other can be the representatives. It's kind of a role play in which you can have. So you can have any of these focus group depending on your topic and the amount of information that you need. So usually you have a mini focus group in which you have 4 to 5 members or a maximum of 6 7 members. We don't recommend having 10 12 because they will be hard to manage. But if you are having a two-way focus group, then you can have 5 and 5 on two sides or 6 and 6 on two sides. And if there are two moderators, again, you can have 12 people, so that you can easily divide the people and you can focus on what they are saying. You can even have a teleconference like a Skype conference call or a Zoom meeting to have this focus group as well. You can even have an online focus group through different chat rooms. There are different techniques that you can use in a focus group. There can be a projectic technique in which you can ask them to role play or associate themselves to certain things and to react to certain drawings. You can divide them into subgroups as well. You can ask them to work independently and then share their observations. You can have a self-administered questioning as well, in which you're going to ask them different questions and then they tell you what they believe in. You can even have a checklist that you give them a checklist and then they see and then they tell you that you know what they think about each of them and all. You can even have a confrontation with stimulus material. For example, you can show them a material and you can say that what do you think about this? You can show them an advertisement and see what do you think about this, and then observe and then write down what they are saying. The second type of tool that you may use is an observation. Observation is something that can be used in quantitative and in qualitative both, in which you're going to go and you're going to observe the person. Again, for example, if you want to see that how many cars slow down during a traffic sign, so when you are counting them, you will have the data in numbers. So this can be a quantitative observation. But if you want to see that how much time are they taking to stop, what is the reaction of the people, whether they are happy with the red traffic light or not, then that will be more descriptive, and it will be a qualitative observation. So there are different types of observations. The observation can be that you become the participant, and then you see that what is going on. You there is participant as observer as well, that the participants are participating as well and they are observing. So participant is basically the sample. Observer as participant, where you become an observer when you are the observer and you are a participant as well. And then we have complete observers. There are different ways of taking notes. For example, you can write down as well, you can write down on a piece of paper, taking whatever you are observing, you are writing it down. You are writing everything that happens from the morning till the end. You can even use a tape recorder or a video recorder, but you need to take care of the ethical consideration. You need to make sure that you are whatever you are recording is with the consent of the people. If they are not consenting to for video recording or audio recording, you will not record it. So you need to be very clear about what they are saying. There are different types of field notes that you can use. You can have some mental notes in which you are remembering, but I mean, it will be very difficult for you to recall everything. Then jotting notes as well, in which you can write brief notes, like brief notes or prompts or one or two words, so that you know later on you remember what they are saying. But then again, you will be relying on your memory. The third is a full field notes, in which you write as much detail as possible and you maintain the source as well. So these are the different types of field notes that you might make during your observation. Okay, so just to give you a detailed one in the classification of participant observer roles, when you are a complete observer, then you go and you observe the people without them knowing, without them noticing you. For example, if you're sitting and you're observing something that in a coffee shop or something, so that goes into your complete observer, where the researcher is neither seen nor he is noticed by the participants. It is one of the ways how you minimize the participant from acting unnaturally. So but then you sometimes you do need there the you do need the permission of the people, not exactly people but the place as well. Then we have the observer as participant. Here the researcher will be known and recognized by the participants, and they will know what your research goals are, and sometimes they might interact with you as well. Then we have participant as observer. Here the researcher, that means you will be fully engaged with the participant. You will be more of a friend or a colleague than a neutral third person. You might have a full participant with the you might have a full interaction with the participants, um, but they might not exactly know that you are a researcher as well. Then we have the complete participant as well. In the complete participant, the researcher, that means you will almost be like a spy. You will go there. You as a observer, you will fully engage with the participants and take part in their activities, and then you will complete your research. So these are the four main types of participant observation. Then we have the documentary analysis. Documentary analysis involves when you are collecting the data, when you are collecting the data through different documents, you are reading the documents, you're analyzing the documents, and you're collecting data from there. But you need to look at the quality. You need to see whether the documents are authentic or not. You need to see whether they are credible or not, and what are they representing. Is there any evidence? What are they representing? Are they truly representing the main phenomena or not? And then if the meaning is clear or not. So if you talk about documents, there are three main types of documents that are available. You have the official state documents, you have the official company documents, and then you have the mass media outputs. The official state documents are like the government documents, which are published in for the public to read. Sometimes you may question the credibility of the original report because the report will be under the influence of the government and might not reveal anything against the government. Then we have the official company documents. The companies usually publish their annual reports, their mission statements, their transcript, their press releases. But a lot of their documents are not in the public domain. So if you are researching on a company, you need to ask them if they are willing to give you their internal documents or not. That means their internal newsletters, their internal charts, their minutes of meeting, the memos, the policy statements, the internal and external corresponding. So depending on your study, you might need an access to these documents as well, especially if you're doing a case study. Then we have the mass media outputs. The mass media outputs are the common documents that are available. For example, the newspapers, magazines, TV, film. But sometimes you have an issue with the authenticity because sometimes you might have an article written, but you might not know who the author is. And then there might be a problem with the credibility because it might not have the complete picture, and you'll have to investigate more whether the information given in that particular document is correct or not. There are different focus that you have in a qualitative question. So whether you are observing, whether you are taking an interview, whether you are doing an observation or a focus group, these are the main five types of focus that you will have. You might be focusing on their experiences about what has happened. You might be taking their opinion, that what do they think about it. You might be asking about their feelings, that what do they feel about it. You might be asking about their knowledge, so that they have a knowledge about a certain thing, and you are trying to find out that fact. You might ask for their input as well, that what do they want to add to a particular phenomena. So these are the different types of data collection tools that you might use in a qualitative research. And these are the five type of main focuses that your questions might have. So this will be the end of unit 9. Thank you.